Welcome to the Astronomer of the Week, Edmond Halley. Most people think of Halley, they think of the famous comet that bears his name that graces our skies every 76 years. Yet to view Edmond Halley merely as a comet hunter is to overlook one of the most versatile and influential polymaths in scientific history. From deep sea diving to mapping the trade winds, Halley was a man of unbounding curiosity whose work laid the groundwork for modern navigation, meteorology, and even life insurance. He was born in Haggerston, London, to a wealthy soap maker. His journey into the stars began early. While still an undergraduate at Queen's College, Oxford, he published papers on sunspots and the solar system. He also at this time developed a relationship and friendship with John Flamsteed, his mentor and teacher, who was actually mapping the northern stars. And so probably Halley's most ambitious early move was in 1676. He dropped out of Queen's College and set sail for the island of St. Helena. His goal was unprecedented to do for the southern hemisphere what John Flamsteed was doing for the north, to create an accurate stellar map. Despite battling poor weather, the island was far cloudier than he wanted, allowing him only about an hour's worth of observing per night. In addition, when it was clear, he complained that his instruments, his telescopes, and notebook rapidly became soaked with dew. So if you ever battled dew, think of Halley on the mountaintop here. In his own words, he said, "Now this theory of springs is not a bare hypothesis, but founded on experience, which it was my luck to gain in my blade at St. Helena, where in the nighttime, on the tops of the hills about 800 yards from the sea, there was so strange a condensation, or rather precipitation of the vapors, that it was a great impediment to my celestial observations. For the clear sky, the dew would fall so fast as to cover each half-quarter of an hour my glasses with little drops, so that it was necessitated that I wiped them so often, and my paper in which I wrote my observations would immediately be so wet with dew that it would not bear ink, by which it may be supposed how fast the water gathers in those mighty high ridges." He returned 2 years later, 1678, and published the Catalogue Stellarium Australium, featuring 341 southern stars. The feat earned him the nickname the Southern Tycho, secured his election at the Royal Society at the remarkable young age of 22. Indeed, it was Halley's mentor and teacher, John Flamsteed, that termed him our Southern Tycho. His greatest contribution in science wasn't an original discovery, but an act of persistence. In 1684, Halley visited Isaac Newton in Cambridge to discuss the physics of planetary orbits. To Halley's shock, Newton revealed that he'd already solved the problem, but had lost his notes. Halley recognized Newton's genius, and he just didn't encourage Newton to rewrite his work. Halley became its, quote, midwife. He personally funded the publication of Newton's Philosophy Naturalis Principia Mathematica, edited the text, corrected the proofs, and even tactfully managed the ego-driven disputes between Newton and Robert Hooke. Without Halley's financial and emotional investment, the foundational texts of modern physics might never have seen the light of day. He also pioneered other things. 1686, he published the first meteorological chart identifying solar heating as a cause of atmospheric motion and mapping the trade winds. 1693, he analyzed mortality statistics from Breslau in modern-day Poland. It established the relationships between age and mortality, forming the basis for modern life insurance and annuities. You can see he predicted the solar eclipse coming through England. He designed a lead-lined diving bell, supplied fresh air via weighted barrels, allowing him and his team to remain 60 feet underwater for over a half hour. Amazing in those days. He commanded the HMS Paramore, the first English Navy vessel commissioned for a purely scientific voyage. He mapped the magnetic declination of the Atlantic to aid in navigation. In 1705, Halley published a synopsis of astronomy of comets applying Newton's laws of gravity. He noticed the comets of 1531, 1607, and 1682 followed identical paths. He boldly predicted the same object that it would return in 1758. Recent research also shows that perhaps a medieval monk, Elemer of Malmesbury, is believed to have recognized Halley's comet's periodic nature over 600 years before Halley did, connecting his observations to the comet in 989 and 1066. Elmer first witnessed that comet in 989 as a young man. He witnessed the same comet again as an elderly man in 1066, which of course corresponded to William the Conqueror and Harold Godwin competing for the throne of England, resulting in the Battle of Hastings. This insight suggests he understood that comets would return in cycles, a significant realization for that period of time. 1720, Halley succeeded John Flamsteed as the second astronomer royal. He spent his final decades at Greenwich Observatory, focused on the motion of fixed stars. He passed away in 1742, 16 years before he was proven right about the comet. He was buried at St. Margaret's, though his tombstone was later repositioned at the Royal Observatory at Greenwich. When the comet reappeared exactly as scheduled, it was a triumph for Newtonian physics and forever cemented Halley's name to the heavens. Edmond Halley was the ultimate scientific diplomat, a man who could bond over brandy with Peter the Great, command a ship of mutinous sailors, and navigate the complex temperaments of the greatest minds in